Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well today. Today I wanted to share with you a bronzer that I have recently discovered. It's a fairly new addition to the market. It's not like brand new, but it is kind of new and it's definitely new to me. And I really like it, and so I wanted to share it with you and say and explain why I like it, and also show you the results. I have a before and after as well as the application, but let me first explain what this product is, because it's something you might already own, but it's a new take on it. I'm talking about the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, but this is the natural version of it. Now I have to explain what that really means, but I guess before, this is what it looks like here. I just love the packaging. I think it's such a beautiful vintage inspired packaging. I don't know for sure that it's vintage inspired, but to me this looks vintage. And this is the bronzer, which I have already been using for a little while just so I can get to know it a little bit more, and hence it's a little used, but this is what it looks like here. Now this is a new take on the classic, traditional, ultra popular Chocolate Soleil bronzer. I used to use it and love it back in the day. I have since stopped using it only because I have just been trying other bronzers. I'm a huge bronzer fan. But I recently was kind of looking at other bronzers I could try. I was at a store and I saw this bronzer and I thought, what's this all about? Now, the main difference between the two, and the reason why I think it's called natural, is two things. First, this bronzer has a more maybe natural finish. The original Chocolate Soleil bronzer, it was a pretty matte bronzer. This one has a little bit more sheen, but it's a beautiful kind of a sheen if you're like, ooh, I don't know about that. If you have texture or if you have oily skin, I have both. So for me, I'm always careful with the finish of the bronzer. And I find that the best bronzers for pretty much anyone, including people with texture and oily skin, are the ones that have a little bit of a sheen, but not too much. And I think this is maybe a little bit more than a little sheen, but it's definitely not too much. And the reason for that is that when it's very matte, a matte bronzer can make your skin look a little bit dirty, especially if you apply it in areas of high points, like your cheeks, which I do. Now, you can definitely use matte bronzers beautifully, don't get me wrong, but you can also use them in a way where they just look a little off. They just dull out, darken areas that are supposed to be a little bit highlighted. So if your bronzer has a little bit of reflection, that problem goes away. And so this one has a very, very beautiful sheen to it, but again, it's not too much. I really do like it. I don't know if this is like the only finish I would want in a bronzer, but I do not have a bronzer in my collection that has kind of like this sheen, but it's like not too much. So I really like the finish here. So I think that's why it's called natural. Also, this is a really big thing that I want to emphasize. This bronzer is talc-free. Now, I really want to make sure that if you care about a talc-free product like I do, do make sure that the one you're getting is talc-free. I don't know if maybe there's slightly different variations of this sold in maybe different markets wherever you're watching this, and they don't advertise this as talc-free, which kind of makes me a little nervous saying this is talc-free, but I looked at the ingredients over and over again and I don't see talc. And I think maybe the reason they're not advertising that this one is talc-free, the new version, is that the original version still has talc, so they don't want to draw attention to that. That's my guess, I don't know for sure. But the point is that the one I have, and probably the one you're going to get as well, is talc-free, which is great. It's an option, you know, that you don't have to go for. You don't have to get things that are talc-free, but I personally choose to. And so if you're like me, this is talc-free, and they rhymed, so it's perfect. But yeah, so I was really interested in trying this out. I was pleasantly surprised because the finish is quite lovely. It's not what I expected, and it is talc-free, which is the reason I got this version as opposed to maybe going back to the original version. And what else do I want to say? It is the same price as the original. It's not the cheapest bronzer. It's $35. You can probably guess that a Too Faced product, because it's a more of a higher end scale brand, you're gonna be paying a chunk of money for the product. But the plus side with bronzers is that if you get the right one, they really make a big difference. You can probably see in the before and the after. Wherever I'm showing this in this video. I'm gonna do a layover at some point, or maybe I've already done it, but you can see the difference that it can really make. So if you invest in a really quality bronzer, you don't need a ton of them, you just need a really good one. It's a worthwhile investment, and bronzers usually do last for a while, at least for me. So I always feel like a good quality bronzer is a good investment for sure. Also, I forgot to mention this. This has the most delicious smell. I believe it's the same smell that the original one has. If it's not the exact same, it's very similar, and it's just, it smells like, I want to say it smells like, in particular, milk chocolate. Like, it doesn't smell like healthy chocolate, you know, the kind that you eat for antioxidants. Maybe you like that smell. I guess I kind of do. But it smells like the chocolate that you would eat when you were a kid and you loved it, and it was like delicious, and it had like that soft, sweet, milky aroma. It smells just like that. It smells like the most decadent milk chocolate. I love it. So yeah, it's really pleasant to use. I love the packaging, very easy to use as well. And so that's really nice. It's not like a big deal, I know, but something about, you know, if you're using it on a daily basis, having a pleasant smell, having an easy application, having pretty packaging that you get to look at really makes a difference, in like a small way, but you know, it does, at least to me. I don't know if I'm weird, maybe you're like, what are you talking about, Yana? But it does to me. And so I wanted to mention that. I specifically wrote a note. I was like, don't forget to mention the smell and make sure that it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it really is. And then lastly, this does come in 2 colors. The original one comes in 3, this one comes in 2. I believe the colors are a little bit different as well, and I don't know if it has to do with the formulation, or maybe they wanted to offer slightly different colors, or what I think is that because it's this is totally hypothetical, just like the talc thing, this is hypothetical, but it's what I'm thinking, so I'm gonna share it. I think because the finish here is a little bit shinier. The original one was probably a little bit more of like a little more contoury, so it had a little bit more depth, a little bit more coolness, whereas this one is meant to be a little bit brighter, a little bit warmer, because I do feel like the colors here, and I have the lighter of the 2 available colors. This is called Golden Cocoa. The other one is called Golden Caramel, I believe. It's quite a warm color. I think it can really be pulled off, but it adds a warm glow to the skin, which I guess a bronzer is really meant to do. The original one, I feel like, from my memory, because I don't have it, I still have it, but it's old and I didn't want to repurchase it because I wasn't going to really use it. So but from my memory, it was a little bit cooler. I feel like it had a little bit more depth, but I think it makes sense for the formulation to have colors, you know, be those colors for that formula and these colors be for this formula. I will obviously link this down below, and I will also say that if you wanted to see what each color looks like on different skin shades, you can do that, because what they've done, and I think it's a really good idea, is they've shown a lighter version and a darker version and what it would look like on different skin shades. Because I think it's, you know, not everyone is gonna want to go for the color that maybe they think you should go for, because maybe you like a lighter bronzer, or maybe you like a deeper bronzer. I think I went for the color that was kind of meant for my skin shade, but I'm really curious to try the darker color as well. I know it probably is not gonna work. It's probably gonna be too much, but you can probably see in the before and after, and I don't think it's just me. Bronzer makes a difference, like a big difference. and so I am very invested in trying to find the absolute best, and maybe even a little bit of a variety as well, so I can kind of play around and get just the right shade or just the right, you know, finish. So that is this bronzer, and I am very pleasantly surprised with the new version. I thought it was going to be basically like the original version, just maybe talc-free or maybe slightly different ingredients. But it is really a great new take on the original, and I think it's a beautiful one to try if you think you're gonna like it. Again, the things to keep in mind are that it has a beautiful sheen. It's not too much, but it's also not too little, and it is a talc-free formula. I will just make sure that it is for you, but I believe it's supposed to be a talc-free formula, just kind of like under the radar. And it has a beautiful smell, beautiful packaging, very easy to use. Two colors that I think are well designed, so hopefully you can find a color for yourself. And on that note, I'm going to end this video, but I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope, as always, to see you in the next video. Bye!